Do you own a customized motorcycle? Well, that's a stupid question. If you are a fancy rider, then you probably do. Now, let me ask you something else. Does the name Ben Hardy ring a bell to you? Probably not. What if I told you this man was sort of an American icon and one of those who made the custom motorcycles trendy? Easy Rider, 1969. The movie introduced us with custom motorcycles by featuring the Captain America Harley-Davidson iconic choppers, which was built by two African Americans, Ben Hardy and Cliff Force. A lot of custom bikes made afterwards were vastly inspired by Ben Hardy and Cliff Force's designs. In fact, they made the base of the biker club at motorcycle gang scenes in the 60s. This goes without saying. Ben and Clifford's contribution inspired more African-American motorcycle builders like L. Pitts, Sugabia, as well as riders to form their own motorcycle gangs with the iconic Harley-Davidson. One of such clubs was East Bay Dragons, the oldest biker club in the West. Founded in 1959 in the town of Oakland, they only allow African-American people to join the club. And another mandatory rule for the club is, the members must drive a Harley-Davidson. When the club was founded, a black man riding a Harley-Davidson was somewhat considered as a revolutionary act. East Bay Dragons took that opportunity to inspire their community. East Bay Dragons was founded by Toby Jane Livingstone, the son of sharecroppers. He moved to Oakland from Louisiana and wanted something to keep his siblings busy. The club was initially about cars, but then they changed it to motorcycles since they were cheaper and the police wanted to keep an eye on them that much. The history of East Bay Dragons is pretty rich. They were really good friends with Hell's Angels. Their gifted plaques can still be seen at their headquarters. Livingstone and Hell's Angels founder Sonny Berger were friends till the day Livingstone died. In 1960s, they could be seen riding alongside the activists. According to club member Benny Whitfield's words, "We weren't Black Panthers, but we supported the movement." In 1980s, when the crack pandemic broke out, East Bay Dragons kept a lot of people out of it.
Running the Dragon, it kind of guided me. I had been in and out of jail, this, that, and the other. But once I got into Dragon, it was like a men's finishing school. I see all these young guys now. I hope they get what I got.
Being a black biker gang in the era when people were too quick to judge the African Americans for the color of their skin and tried to pin the crimes on them whenever they could, East Bay Dragons really set an example with their community services and good deeds. On every Thanksgiving, they provided food to the homeless people. Some of the gang members had their sons join the club and they wished to carry forward the legacy. Although the same can't be said for all the black motorcycle clubs. In 2011, FBI raided the Philadelphia Wheels of Soul clubhouse and arrested 18 members and charged them with racketeering and other crimes committed by them in St. Louis. Formed in 1967 in Pennsylvania, Wheels of Soul have chapters spread throughout all across the US, even one in Puerto Rico. They are an interracial bike club. Although they like to describe themselves as a peace-loving group of bikers that loves to drink beer and chill together, but the federal officers always thought of them as a violent gang, and the law enforcement claimed that their criminal activities spread across a wide span of drug dealing, extortion, murder, attempt to murder, murder conspirations, assaults, kidnapping, and many more. In 2009, the members of Wheels of Soul gunned down a member of a rival ganger at Missouri, St. Louis. In 2011, they would go on and gun down another rival gang member. In the same year, one gang member shot 3 people outside a party in Ohio. Not just in Philadelphia, when the FBI raided the other state branches of Wheels of Soul, they kept arresting members with the charges of assault, kidnapping, arson, and many more. Turned out, their criminal mindset wasn't a rare occurrence, it was a day-to-day activity for him. A 33-year-old came forward and reported that the members of Wheels of Soul had beaten him up and robbed him. A 29-year-old got terribly bludgeoned after he danced with a gang member's girlfriend just for a while. Not just with the feds, Wheels of Soul have had their share of beef with other African-American biker gangs as well. Let's take Chosen Few as an example. Even though Chosen Few is an African-American bikers gang, they are not as reckless as Wheels of Soul. That has forced the Wheels of Soul members to leave their gang and joined Chosen Few time and again. And as you can suspect, that did not make Wheels of Soul very happy, and they keep attacking the Chosen Few members time and again. For instance, in October 2020, at Lounge 301 of East Coast, the members of Chosen Few were celebrating a birthday. Suddenly, Wheels of Soul showed up there to press the Chosen Few. After their little feud was over, the two members of Chosen Few were hit as well as two members of Wheels of Soul. 1 year later, on September 1st, 2021, during a cross-country rally, a member of Wheels of Soul and a member of Chosen Few got into an argument at a Harley showroom where the Chosen Few member knocked off the Wheels of Soul's member's patch. 6 days after that, when a few of the members of Chosen Few went to attend a marriage in Las Vegas, 15 members of Wheels of Soul followed them there, chased a member named Tommy for about 100 yards to a desert, and then stabbed him 100 times to death. But surprisingly, you'll see the members of the Bike Gangs themselves justifying their activities in the name of brotherhood.
Motorcycle set is totally different from the street now because they truly believe in the code. And a lot of cats, you wouldn't be able to come back to the bike set. You couldn't go to another motorcycle club. You know what I'm saying? I was a Chosen Few, and I was the president in Las Vegas. And I mean, our shit was just so tight. We lost a member in Vegas.
Got killed?
Yeah. You dare somebody to speak on it. You know what I'm saying? And you got people, you got the 1%ers out there that not playing. And you know, those guys believe in brotherhood. You know, when you get one that turn, it's like a rap. It's like a rap. They come to your house. They come to your baby showers, your daughter's wedding. They don't, you know, them motherfuckers don't care.
Well, your dad was a Chosen Few.
Above the law. Don't give a fuck about the law. They do them, which could be many of things. They just to themselves and ain't taking shit from nobody else. Everybody got their own perspective of what a 1%er is, but that 1% of the rest of the biker world, they don't give a fuck about. 99% of them.
And they actually have patches that say 1%.
Yeah. Well, they identify themselves, and people, you know, I look at the white boys more like the HAs, the Outlaws,
Hells Angels.
them, they ain't no joke. And, you know, they really believe in that. That's all they got. You know what I'm saying? In a sense, we do too, but we don't take it as serious as they do. You know what I'm saying? You got some clubs out there, Sin City, Outcast, that's really with the everything. But there's a lot of cats out there claim to be 1%ers that really not.
Before we end the list, let's talk about the oldest black motorcycle club, Outcast NC. Founded in Detroit in 1969, the name and identity for Outcasts were chosen because the black riders weren't allowed to join a white club back then. Many years have passed since then, but they still maintain a strong identity of taking only black members on board, riding on black motorcycles, wearing the black attires. It reveals a strong brotherhood as well. The members of Outcast MC were mostly black non-conformist men or war veterans. Originally formed as a social club for motorcycle enthusiasts, it evolved into one of the Big Four outlaw motorcycle clubs in the United States, alongside the Hells Angels, Bandidos, and Pagans. The Outlaws MC follows a hierarchical structure with a president, vice president, treasurer, secretary, and sergeant-at-arms leading the club. Members are known as 1%ers, a term derived from a statement made by the American Motorcycle Association, AMA, in the 1960s, which claimed that 99% of motorcyclists were law-abiding citizens, leaving the remaining 1% as outlaws. They have chapters not only across the United States, but also internationally, including in Canada, Europe, Australia, and South America. Each chapter operates somewhat independently but follows the overarching rules and regulations set by the national leadership. Just like Wheels of Soul and Chosen Few, the Outlaws NC has a reputation for involvement in various criminal activities, including drug trafficking, arms dealing, extortion, and organized crime. They are also known for their involvement in violent turf wars with rival motorcycle clubs, particularly the Hells Angels. The Outlaws NC has a long and storied criminal history, dating back to its establishment in the 1930s. While not all members of the Outlaws NC are involved in criminal activities, the club as a whole has been linked to a wide range of illegal ventures. Actually traces its roots back to the Prohibition era of the 1930s, when Outlaw NC was initially formed as a social club for motorcycle enthusiasts. During this time, some members of the club were involved in bootlegging and other illicit activities associated with the illegal production and distribution of alcohol. Following World War II, the Outlaws NC expanded its presence and began to establish itself as one of the premier motorcycle clubs in the United States. During this period, the club became increasingly involved in criminal activities such as illegal gambling, extortion, and the trafficking of stolen goods. In the latter half of the 20th century, the Outlaws NC became heavily involved in the trafficking of illegal drugs, including methamphetamine, cocaine, heroin, and marijuana. Members of the club were implicated in drug distribution networks spanning multiple states and even countries, leading to numerous arrests and prosecutions. Besides the drug trafficking, they have a history of violent conflict with rival motorcycle clubs, particularly the Hells Angels. These conflicts have resulted in numerous instances of assault, battery, and even murder. The club's reputation for violence has contributed to its outlaw image and ongoing conflicts with law enforcement. Over the years, law enforcement agencies have conducted numerous raids and investigations targeting the Outlaws NC and its members. These crackdowns have resulted in the arrest and prosecution of individuals involved in criminal activities associated with the club, as well as the seizure of illegal drugs, weapons, and other contraband. Despite law enforcement efforts, the Outlaws NC continues to engage in various criminal activities to this day. These may include drug trafficking, arms dealing, extortion, and other forms of organized crime. The club's criminal activities are often conducted under a veil of secrecy, making it challenging for law enforcement to disrupt their operations. Overall, the Outlaws NC has earned a reputation as one of the most notorious outlaw motorcycle clubs in the world, with a criminal history spanning decades. While individual members may come and go, the club's commitment to its outlaw image and criminal activities remains a defining characteristic. As we all know, for many years, African Americans went through hell before earning a minimum amount of respect. Even today, when a crime takes place in a US country, police and law enforcement are more likely to suspect them. But is the wrong show of power really an answer to that? Bessie Stringfield, too, was an African American woman who was the first to ride across the US on her Harley Davidson. Is that more badass? Or stabbing someone 100 times and not being bothered about it sounds cooler? Let that be your food for thought for the day. In the next episodes, we'll bring you more stories about the violence committed by the 1% black biker gangs. Stay tuned for that.